said he's going in and out.
He's connecting now.
Okay, thank you.
Right on.
I think I've got He is lost.
Vote for Trump. Vote for
I just put on my Snapchat, I'm like, I cannot wait until the election season is over. I'm throwing away extra weight every day. They're so long. Between the email spams and the
Well, hey, Erie County, Pennsylvania is the epicenter of the world.
Wait, somewhere.
What happens here goes for Pennsylvania.
apparently what happens in Pennsylvania goes for the states.
I haven't heard him come in yet.
Look at, it's pretty,
I actually have to
pretty big.
I haven't seen him come in yet. He hasn't popped in yet.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, we good to go, Mike?
I'm on, but when he pops on,
I tell you what, I get at least 20, 30 emails
All
a
right,
day.
we're gonna start anyhow. We'll get going. You okay with that?
Yep.
And if Corey connects, he connects. If he doesn't, we're fine with it. We started with, invited some students to be recognized here tonight. So I'm gonna ask John Sajak, Braden Keel, Nick Szymanski, and Troy Barker to come on up here. All right. So, these guys, go ahead, go front. Let's go front. I like it. So, we got 3 of the 4 of them here. Will you guys introduce yourselves and just tell them what school you're from and what program you're from? Which one? Yeah, girls, stuff.
Don't sign that, I gotta be down.
Nicholas Szymanski, I go to Seneca.
Troy Barker, I go to Harbor Creek.
All right, and so then we're missing Braden Keel tonight. We actually have certificates that we're going to grab to recognize these young men. We got connected with Franklin Chamber of Commerce last year when they went down and did some work for a nonprofit down in Franklin to do some work rewiring a building. Pennsylvania Rural Robotics Initiative. Tim Heffernan and that group that I started when I was at the IU, I'm on the board there. Do a lot of STEM education. They're in several of your school districts doing some robotics and Vex robotics and drones and that kind of stuff. So when the chamber found out that these guys went down there, they called me and said, hey, we have Apple Fest, a big event every year. Anybody been to Apple Fest before down in Franklin? Yes, it's a monster event, big 4 or 5 day festival in the early October. They said, hey, could your guys come down and help us set up? We run a lot of power and electric and all this stuff for all the vendors. And could you bring your electrical kids down? So we did. So while there, I'm going to turn these guys over to the story to tell them what happened. So it's Wednesday, October 2nd. You guys are down there, and what happened?
Well, we were sitting, wiring up power panels to do GFCIs for down there. And we just heard a couple tires squirm, and there was a car crash down there.
Is now joining.
Car crash happened. Me and BK and Brandon, we ran over, saw that there was a couple babies in the back seat that couldn't get out. These 2 ran over with knives, helped us. BK and I cut the babies out. The seatbelts, where the button is, was smashed up, so we couldn't unbuckle it. So we cut the seatbelts and we got the babies out, and we were getting the car seats out of the car.
Nice. Very cool.
So, the Chamber of Commerce director down there, Jody Lewis, is a great person. I'm a long-time friend with her. She called me and said, okay, listen, I'm going to cry telling you this. These are her exact words. She said, I've already told 10 other people, and it just brings tears to my eyes. Your kids were so adult with how they handle themselves the whole entire day, working alongside the volunteers to get the work done. But when that happened, he said, Troy held one of the babies and comforted the baby for like 10 minutes is what they told me, while they were waiting for first responders to get there. And you know, these guys all jumped into action before anybody could do it, helped out the mom. The young mom was crying and pretty upset, and you guys are calming her down. And, you know, getting the babies out and comforting the babies and so forth. And so I just wanted to celebrate that, because not only were they great electricians on the day, they were great human beings. and that's worth being celebrated. So we're missing the certificates.
They are in safekeeping.
They are in safekeeping. We just don't know exactly where. They were printed out by one of our secretaries. We will get those to you guys. But I say let's give these guys a round of applause. So thanks guys for coming and taking the time out of your night. I know Troy's on co-op. He's working all the time. Appreciate you representing us well. Right now, that whole Chamber of Commerce, City of Franklin, they're like, they also might, I probably shouldn't say this publicly, they also said the Venango County Tech School students were there the previous day, and it was night and day. We ran circles around. But I'll keep that quiet. But yeah, so these guys represent us well. And you know, what's so great about it is they came back, and the teacher was just, you know, she was like, it was so awesome. It was so awesome. You could just see these guys perk their chest up. They were proud for what they did. They were good humans, right? And in a moment of crisis, they got it done. So thank you for that, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right.
Great job, guys.
Excellent. Now this meeting's long and boring, so at this point, if you guys are welcome to stay, but I would take the opportunity to grab another dessert and get out of here. Dad, thanks for bringing me.
Absolutely, thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.
Yep, have a great day, guys. We'll get you those certificates for your portfolio.
Thank you.
All right. So it was a pretty fun week there between the success of Diggers and Dumpers and then that. We were riding high there for that first week of October. With that, then we got a student presentation from Skills. It's going to be a tough act to follow.
I know, I don't think we could beat that one.
I don't think you guys need any. You guys do a great job. You're going to be fine.
That had me tearing up a little bit.
Everybody's is a follow, but I.
You can't beat that. That's awesome. Alright, a lot of you guys already know me. I'm Kendra Ramey. I'm from Early Childhood Education. I go to McDowell High School. And I am Skills USA president here at Erie County Technical School.
My name is Holden Sigler. I go to Fairview. I'm in drafting and design engineering, and I'm the Skills USA vice president managing external affairs. Means I work with like a lot of the fundraising and things outside of the school for Skills USA.
Alright. We'll give you a short presentation. We'll give you a bigger one after regionals and states and some of that fun stuff. So that's the introductions. There are two people that are not here. Ahmed, who's in health assistant, he also goes to McDowell. He's our vice president of internal affairs. So he works with all the recruitment, so talking to your kids about getting involved in Skills USA, getting signed up, all that jazz. And then Tyler Wassel, who I believe presented to you guys with me in the past, is secretary and treasurer, so he works with all the money, all that side of stuff, record keeping.
So as far as our Skills USA membership, we currently have 23 members in our AM session in the morning and 49 members in the afternoon, representing a total of 15 labs. Definitely been growing in the past 2 years. We took two buses right down to regionals last year. A lot of new members, a lot of new people too.
Yeah, so the first time I think I presented to the board, only 5 people went to states. That was the first time I presented, and the next year we tripled our numbers and we had 16 people go. We're hoping for a lot more this year as we had a lot more participation through our pep rallies and things like that, getting people signed up and having people tell their stories and experiences. We've gained a lot of ground there. So we're hoping to take 2 buses to regionals this year and maybe a bus to states if we can get there. Some of our upcoming in-school events, we have a team building day. So we're gonna have all the people involved in Skills USA come to this year LGI. We'll talk to them about some things, and then we'll just get to know people because you're gonna be on a bus with them. You might be sharing a hotel room with them. And we wanna create a community because that's a major thing with Skills USA. It's not just about competing or testing your skills. It's also about finding those people that are just as motivated as you are. So gaining those connections on team building day. A movie night, which I'm the most excited about. We teamed up with Therapy Dogs United, to do a movie night here in the LGI, where anyone from the public can come in. There will be therapy dogs roaming around, including Greta, our dear friend. And you guys will also be able to go, your kids, whoever, and just watch a movie with us. You can buy snacks, popcorn, things like that, and play with all the little puppies that will be in here. And then our major thing is our leadership conference. We have not had a leadership conference in our region since before COVID. It's back off the ground. We only have spots for 20 people, sadly. So we'll narrow those down based on the people that are the most active and doing the most for our team. But we'll be able to meet from all different schools, all different people that are also invested in Skills USA, and talk to them a little bit about that type of stuff. And just build our leadership and our communication skills while we're there.
As far as the competition dates coming up, the first competition after that leadership conference in December, through 10 competitions in the middle of January, 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th. Welding, auto, tech, and auto body, and plumbing all go down before. The competitions are a little different areas, and then the rest of the competitions are on January 17th at Newcastle and Lawrence County. And then states is in April at Hershey, and the national championship June 22nd to June 27th at Atlanta, Georgia.
And that's really it. We do want to stress the growth of our community. We are gonna have posters emailed out to you guys or handed out to you guys to hopefully give to your kids for movie nights and stuff. Anything like that. Is there any questions about Skills USA?
I got one for you.
Yeah.
On your district competition.
Yeah.
So does that mean you'll be competing against your fellow classmates to see who represents?
So we'll have an in-school competition for that. So if different people sign up for the same competition, but we can only send one person to represent our school in a certain competition. So our district is against other schools in our area. I believe 11 schools.
About a dozen total.
About a dozen schools, and they all come together. So it's really the best students from each school competing in their designated area that they really do well in.
So like Venango County and Crawford County and?
Yep.
Okay.
They all come
Marion,
together.
Mercer, Newcastle, Erie, Warren. Who else am I missing?
Goodness, I have to look at the list, but yeah,
Corey.
basically most of northwestern Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank
It's
you.
the same district as kind of like District 10 is in athletics.
Yeah.
8-county region or 9-county region.
Is there anyone new who doesn't really know what Skills USA is that might need a bit of a description?
Didn't include this, but could you two talk a little bit about the national officer training that you did a couple weeks ago?
Oh yeah, sure.
So a couple of weeks ago, the National Skills USA held a virtual offer training that us four went to. So it was about 4 hours, but it helped to talked a lot about planning events, making sure we're prepared with meeting plans, how to keep members active, how to recruit members, and a lot of things like that. It was definitely a useful conference and definitely helpful for us as officers to be able to lead our Skills USA journey.
We actually met someone in that group through the chat section, and Ahmed, one of our vice presidents, have been back and forth with him for a while. He lives across the country, talking about what they do at their school. So it's given us that opportunity to connect and build our program here through the things that they do at their school as well. Any other questions? All right, we'll get out of your hair. Thank you for listening to us.
Thank you.
Sorry we couldn't.
Right?
And then standing next to a guy in a suit, I'm like, what am I doing?
For the record, Holden also does a really nice down walk for Fairview as a football player, as an offensive tackle, right? Good stuff, good stuff. All right, we'll run through the agenda real quick, if anybody has any questions on anything. Pretty light agenda for the most part. We will not have an executive session for personnel, we're not going to cover there. Under student accomplishments, we have our students of the month there on September. We have the LACO scholarship. Josh Herzl was recognized with the LACO scholarship this year. And then we have our 4 students recognized for their service to the community from our electricals. So, good stuff. When you look at important dates coming forward, we have a lot of lists there, a lot of fundraisers and stuff like that. Cosmetology is kicking into a lot of fundraisers as they're taking their, every other year they're looking to go to a big trade show. So they're going out to a trade show this spring for cosmetology, and they are running Beauty Bingo on November 15th, Friday night. So. You heard about the therapy dogs and the movie night. Some other events are on there as we get into the winter season, holiday season. It's kind of scary to think about. It's the holiday season. So under operations, you got some field trips. You got Officer Yaney getting a P card. All of our other staff members have P cards for supplies and incidentals, and she never had one because she was outsourced, but now she has a purchase card to get her supplies and stuff like that taken care of. And then we get into the reports section with all the finances and reports payable and so forth. Lots of policies. One of the big policies on there is use of threat, first reading. With hiring a school police officer, we had to put a use of threat. Our insurance required us to put a use of force policy into play there. So that's what that one is. Under resignations and retirements, we had the resignation of our cooperative education coordinator, Stacy Walbridge, so we're working on getting that one filled. And Lisa has stepped up and is filling that role and covering things as she resigned to take a new job. And we have retirement of one of our secretaries, Renee Hemmerly, who's been here for a handful of years, effective at the end of this year. She actually was retiring earlier, and we talked her out of it. So that was a big win to keep her around. Well, that gives us a chance to get somebody hired, and then she'll be able to train them. Renee runs all of our RCTC night classes and all the state reporting for adult ed, so there's a decent amount of learning curve there that's outside the norm.
I'm sorry, Matt, was the Walbridge, did she get here very long?
So she was hired last year as enrollment engagement coordinator, was here for the year. She transitioned into cooperative education coordinator there in May. So she'd been here about a year and a half, and she just got a better offer. She was good, she was really good. And I think that's part of why she got a better offer. So she had worked for 25 years in mental health and had a really extensive background there. Very well liked amongst our staff, but she got a better offer. That's all you can say, right? We do have a strong applicant pool. We actually have some really strong, school leaders that are looking at that position, kind of stepping back from. One guy's a superintendent for a dozen years, and he's like, I got a couple more years, but I don't want to do the superintendent thing anymore. This might be something interesting from down south. So we'll see where that ends up. After a dozen years of superintendent, he's like, I got more years to give, I just don't want to do the superintendent thing. So we'll see. We're starting that interview process, and we got a few interviews scheduled next week. So we still don't have filled the computer networking, but we actually interviewed a guy earlier this week that might have some potential. We have 2 more interviews next week with that, so we're pretty excited. We might actually find somebody there. Okay, and then there's more reports in there, so we'll just go to my report next. If you don't mind, we'll start with the leadership report from Julie and I. We had our NTHS induction earlier this week. The ceremony was Monday night. We had 16 returning members. We inducted 26 new members. So we now have 42 members in our National Technical Honor Society here. And I listed out there some of our leadership positions there, just so you're aware. This group really represents the top 3%. It's actually less than 3% of our students. So it was a nice evening, nice reception. Mrs. Morant and Mrs. Sargent do a really nice job with that whole process and running NTHS for us. Diggers and Dumpers event, have our sponsors on there, all the different people that brought equipment, and we really can't say enough about thank yous. It really was awesome. We have around $8 million worth of equipment here. We had about 1,400 students on Friday engage the equipment, and we estimate about 250 students on Saturday. It really was an awesome event, and of course, Mark was there and brought equipment. We can't thank you enough. It was a really strong event. Also in my board report, I'll show you at the end there, Mr. Emmerich, Rick, got some comments and quotes from, he got some feedback from his 7th graders that came, and it's kind of neat to see those comments, so I just threw that in there as well as an attachment.
We had a couple of our students share on Monday night at our board meeting for everybody, and it was definitely well received.
It was. Lisa brought it to us, was part of that planning committee. Everybody did a ton, but we can't thank Lisa and Emily Yoakum from Shivers. It was really those two getting crazy with it that made it happen. So awesome event. Recruiting season opens up. We got our 9th grade tours rolling out here in early November. You can actually see the list of when your school is coming in our enrollment engagement coordinators report this month. But they'll be here basically around the first 2 weeks of November. Then we have our open house November 21st from 4:30 to 6:30, where they can bring their parents, they can come check things out, they can meet the teachers and see a little bit, more in depth, where the tours are going to see it as stuff's going on during the school day with 24 students in each class with the teachers. Our applications open up November 1st, and then the priority enrollment date is to have those applications done by December 15th. They can still apply all the way up till, basically into summer. We don't close it out. But that's where our priority first wave enrollment gets done. And there's 10 things that they have to get for their application. With teacher recommendations and transcripts and guidance counselor recommendations and so forth. So we use that Schoolman process. Schoolman's in its 3rd year.
I believe so.
So we're working out the bugs and hiccups there, and it's getting a little bit smoother every time we do it. So Occupational Advisory Committee meetings. Jolie, you want to take this one?
Yeah, so we were really excited. We had a lot more people show up for the OAC than RSVP, so it was a good problem to have. I estimated we had just under 250 attend, which was wonderful. And these are the meetings that we have twice a year, where we just get that feedback from industry professionals, bring in some students, some parents, and just get some guidance. What are we doing well? What has changed in the industry and we need to tweak and add to our task grids? It's a great opportunity to get guest speakers, NOC evaluators, field trip locations, all of those wonderful things that really make our programs grow and shine. And I love having the students there for that leadership opportunity for them. So great turnout, good meetings, good productivity, and we're excited to have our dinner OAC in February.
It'll be the Thursday before President's Day.
Yes.
So February 13th. Along with the OAC, we did have the Erie Highs teachers. They reached out to us again for the 2nd year to come up. So our teachers found a lot of benefit from that, having that teacher come in, and they talked about things, and they were part of our advisory committees, and it worked out pretty well. We also get teachers from Crawford County, Venango County, Corey, and Warren that all come as part of those committees as well. So it's good networking for our teachers on that day. For the new program discussion, you have those PowerPoints and stuff. We're going to skip that because I threw it into a PowerPoint for the superintendents. So I'll show that PowerPoint rather than go through it on the screen there. When we get into grant submissions, we applied for the PCCD school safety grant last month it was due, and then you have the list of what we applied for a lot with the school police officer. We put the training courses, the vehicle, all the equipment and supplies and guns and this and that and everything, memberships, ammo, range, all that stuff that she has to do to keep up her certification, we put into that grant. Some safety radios, and then the mental health educator that we have come in for our leadership trainings that were previously known as Struggles to Strengths under Joe. And then the supplemental equipment grant, you can see what we applied for there. It's a bunch of different equipment for different programs. And then we have the competitive equipment grant that's due here in about 3 weeks. So it's grant season, it's busy. And then you have information on what those leadership trainings look like. We base them on the 40 developmental assets and social emotional learning. And Sam Cray, he is our representative that's a music therapy educator. The behavioral health background comes in and from Premier Education Solutions and works with our kids. Basically meets with each group monthly. So he's in about 9 days a month, rotating through the classes and teaching them all kinds of skills based on the assets, based on employability, but then connecting those underlying themes of supporting each other and mental health and social emotional learning. In the student spotlight, you have on the left-hand side are the 4 students that we recognize for electrical, and on the right-hand side, we have 3 construction trades students that were instrumental in the Gerard popcorn wagon that's been here for several months. It's finally done, and it was shipped out today back to Gerard. So they totally rebuilt the Gerard popcorn wagon and so forth. So,
The chamber, like the chamber of commerce.
yeah. And then I have Josh Herzl up there just because, he got the LACO scholarship, and there's him down at Manufacturing Day getting the award of the LACO scholarship. So we were proud of Josh. If you guys probably have seen Josh's mug a couple times up there, because Josh is our first co-op student that works for us as well. And I had him on there last month because he was our co-op student. And then he got all these awards, and I had to just keep him on there. Pretty simple. Mike, if you go back to my report, there's 2 other, the bottom ones, there's the Fort LaBeouf Middle School students' feedback. Just some comments and quotes in there. I can't see it from here, but yeah, it's definitely kind of interesting to see. They loved it. Like going there, it was really neat. There was large trucks, got to see the school, stuff like that. It's pretty neat. I just threw that in there today because Rick had shared that with me, and so if you looked at the stuff ahead of time, it wasn't there. I apologize. And then I got an email today from one of our secretaries, is the other one. I know we sometimes put it under correspondence, but it came in so late I just threw it under mine. It basically was our secretary taking a phone call from a parent and how nice the parent was talking about Ron Rumlager and how her son likes his class. So it was nice to hear that. It's always good to share good news, right? So there you go. Good stuff. If we go to the PowerPoint now, then, so we're talking about what's next, right? We did the renovation project. We're still trying to get certain things to work, but we're pretty much through the renovation now. We have the 2 new spaces. What is next? And so our superintendents asked, let's survey the middle school students. We look at multiple factors when we look at expansion. We looked at, obviously, IDLE and HBO lists to say, hey, what is out there in industry? What do they need? We look at student interest. That's a big one, because we can have the greatest program in the world, but if we don't have students sign up, right, then it becomes a problem. So we want to connect to student interest. And then we look at what our sending school districts got, programming that you guys have, so we're not competing over the same thing and we're making everybody happy, so to say. So we had, through discussions over a couple of years, narrowed down the list to about 7 or 8 programs to look at. Go ahead, Mike, you can scroll down. So we pushed this survey out a couple of weeks ago, and out of 2,000 responses, 2,219 responses, we asked 4 questions. First off is, if you were picking a program, what would you pick? What do you think your friends would pick if they were picking a program? What is basically, do you think is the best industry, so forth? We'll go through the questions as we go. But as you see there, basically the number 1 answer there was, if you were picking a program, veterinary technician assistant. So the vet assistant is the most popular. Second was aviation, drones, and aerospace science. And third was heavy equipment there at 22, 20, and 15, almost 16%. The other ones we have on our list, just those dental hygienist assistant, logistics, recreational equipment, small engine repair, HVAC, and rising educator were the other ones that we put on that short list of things to consider. So then we go, so what do you think other students would pick? And the number one there was the aviation, drones, and aerospace. Number two was heavy equipment. And then number three, no, that's not right. Number two was veterinary technician assistant, and number three was the heavy equipment. Tried to do gold, silver, bronze, but it doesn't show that well, you know what I mean? And then what do you think is the top workforce need? And there's heavy equipment up there as gold and getting over a quarter of the votes. And then they went to rising educator. I thought that was interesting. An educator program was, they said that's a big need. And then aviation. But you can see that they're, you know, the distribution there amongst the middle school students. And then the greatest career opportunity for future employment. And that's where aviation, drones, and aerospace was first. Heavy equipment was second. And then dental hygienist assistant was third. So we've been talking about next programs. We've talked about a few. And in my mind, like the drones and the aviation, the mechatronics was something talked about with Fred Walker, from what I understand. To me, I'm not sold on a drones and aviation program here. First off, I don't think we'll be able to get a teacher. That's going to be the hardest thing to find, is someone that's done this for 4 years in the field. But what I'm looking to do with the PA Smart Grant and the PA Robotics is try to get automation into every lab. That concept of computer science for all across every lab. And you know, we, through COVID and so forth, in that group built like the build and fly code stuff and the stuff with Patan that's pushed out to where, you know, everyone at every level, even special ed students, were getting opportunities to build a drone, to fly a drone, and to code a drone. And it's like a little 3-hour, 6-hour unit, and they get the kits and they do all of that in that 3 to 6 hours. So they get a taste of flying drones. They get a taste of the building with gears and electronics and so forth. They get a taste of the coding to make it operate and move and so forth. And so in that grant, that's what I'm looking at, is like, hey, all of our labs have some kind of component to it. Now, some can go on way deeper, like computer networking, computer programming, some of those labs where they actually go and get the FAA 107 certification to be a small drone pilot. Where other ones are just getting the automation. Matt asked me a great question today. Matt, what was your question you asked me?
I was wondering what that looks like in, say, culinary or in some of the other
Cosmetology, early childhood.
So
and what did you think of my answer?
it made sense to me.
It made sense to you.
Sure.
So the idea of the drones in the computer science little mini unit is just for the exposure of the idea of we're building something, we're connecting it, we're making it happen. Then we're going to fly it, then we're going to like code it with a series of steps to make it do us what we want to do, the computer science kind of the mini unit. They're not going to fly drones in those programs, but they are going to use technology in their career. Technology over the next 30 years is scary to think about what it's going to look like in every single one of our programs and careers. But they're going to use that idea of, hey, I got this hairdryer and I got to do this and this and this and this and this order to make it function and fly X, Y, and Z way, if that makes sense. And it's that thought of the coding, and we have to give it some instructions here, 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 here in order to make it happen. I look at Sam. Sam, you're cooks. Cook on a lot of automated systems, don't they?
Sometimes they use drones.
They probably don't use drones, but are they having equipment where they have to program and code it and make it do X, Y, and Z in order to make it happen? And that's the idea behind it. In all of our labs, is it necessary? Absolutely not. But you know, when you start getting into some of our heavy labs that are going to go out there, you know, I look at Mark. They're going to go build roads, and they're going to build buildings, and they're going to fix buildings, and they're going to fix roads and bridges. There's drones in all of that in different ways. Am I right? Some more than others, right? And so it's a neat way to kind of get it across the board of a little bit of computer science in all our programs. But then it also gets us into where we now have some more offerings for our labs that are a little bit, gonna run with that a little bit more. So that's the idea behind it. So that's my idea behind the drones and the automation, to where we're not going to do that program, it's not my recommendation, where we go the heavy equipment or the veterinary sciences as the next programs.
What about expanding on that with, especially, our elementary schools have these clubs now for let's say the robotics, but part of that now is drones. What about doing some of your staff now for like an extracurricular, an after-school club that would utilize some, if you're gonna have some of that equipment already, and open that up to all your labs, that might be something that is of interest too.
That's absolutely correct. Last meeting, did we have that field back here? That was that weird square field, was that here last meeting? So that is our VEX robotics field. We have our first VEX robotics team. It's all connected to that same clubs that you guys are talking about that we pushed out through that PA Rural Robotics Initiative, where we just said, hey, let's turn this into, you know, kind of like youth sports for the robotics and the computer science. And so the robotics, the drones, that kind of stuff's all part of that. Yeah, so Jason Clins took our kids last year, first time ever, to a couple competitions, and then they went down to the state or the Western PA state competition at Clarendon University, just to experience it, because they had only had a couple competitions. But it's building that scenario, and there's industry credentials that are built into some of that work that we're going to look at adding to our list. In computer science, or computer programming and computer networking, some of the kids fly and go get all these levels of industry credentials. Not all the kids get those levels of industry credentials, and this just adds to that kind of list. But, you know, it might end up being where you end up with a facility maintenance kid or a construction trades kid or a design and drafting for engineering kid that really likes this too, and they get involved in it, and then they learn, because we have the stuff, they then say, hey, I'm gonna go practice with this, and I'm gonna go then apply to get do the whole, you know, the FAA 107 process to get my pilot license. So we actually have a teacher here in tourism and hospitality that has a drone that uses it for marketing, and has actually flown the drone and made a video for when your kids come for recruiting, he shows that video that he created with the drone. So, you know, for marketing and advertisement, graphic media, those programs will all benefit as well from the idea of another avenue for videos and graphics. So that's the idea behind it. So that's where I'm at, is heavy equipment's the top of my list. Veterinary sciences is very popular when you're looking, and this is just student interest. Those are the two top ones, and student interest is the way I interpret that data that I shared. Any questions?
I was amazed at how some stood out, but you didn't have any that were like, I was looking at logistics. I mean, kids, I mean, they must
They even know what that is.
Right, they understand what that is. You had 10, 12%. That's really your lowest on all of those questions. I found that interesting. It was as balanced as it was.
It was balanced, yeah.
I have a comment. When I was at the advisory thing, we had a former teacher from a different district. He kept harping on all this stuff to do, and I said, well, we just get all this remodeling and expansion, and he was just beating the shit out of me. So I was like, you can ask Sandy. He was just harassing. He basically tore the school to pieces, and I got upset a little at it, because he hadn't really, we just got remodeled, and he didn't even see what it was last year when we came in. The room wasn't even like, it was just like this room, and the electrical lab had to go in there, and they had to put everything together.
Was in the electrical AC.
The electrical, yeah.
He was science. The electrical is not good.
I know, but like I said, she only asked for, you only got a grant for something. According to the meeting we had, I said we need about $1 million, but I didn't see anybody handing me any checks, so I don't know where we're gonna get that. Okay, and then we have a lab, like I said, they claim we need more space, and we got an open room. That maybe what could be it. I think we're moving. If we get open, I think we should go for a couple, at least a year or two before we open up more classes, get cleaned up our act a little bit on stuff. I don't disagree, we need it, we need teachers too. And you know, we can't even we have a hard time filling our staff. And that's, I mean, until we're fully staffed and have no problems, I'm all for expanding, but we aren't, right now, we don't even have a teacher for one of our classes. I mean,
And that'll be that way every year moving forward, whether we expand or not, Dennis. That's one of the hardest things, is filling our staff. But that's the same thing in your school district
right,
as well.
we're
There's an educator shortage, but there's also shortages in every industry. So we're gonna be continually faced with that, and, you know, that's over time, negotiations, that kind of stuff, some of that can get corrected.
And a lot of it boils down to competitive wages.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like that's what I said, want to finish up what we got.
We feel we just lost a brilliant mind because she had a better offer. And we can't control that.
We can't control, right now, the market is so employee friendly, right? They have job opportunities that, I mean, drive down Peach Street, hiring.
But I'm saying.
But what we can do is we can get, future employees out there.
Correct.
In every facet of what we're
Correct.
looking at. So putting new trades or, you know, programs in is gonna actually help us in the long run, because eventually those kids will be out there in the workforce, and then possibly some of them might come back here and teach.
But I was saying, we just recognized 4 electrical people, and we went down that thing, and I think our group's doing real good. I felt like I got beat up.
So for those that don't know, if you've ever, the electrical lab is right in the center of the building here. And I didn't design it, you didn't design
Well,
it.
we used to have, when Corey was here, we had them gone out in the pole barn doing stuff.
They still have the barn, they can still do that.
I just told you.
It's a teacher preference.
I felt like I had the whipping post during that meeting.
Well, and here's,
He went-
you always have to remember, the squeaky wheel is gonna get the grease, and this person
So I
is
was
just
gi- I
gonna
was-
wanna be the squeaky wheel, and they're gonna wanna
I
get
was
the
doing
grease, so.
pretty, I told you, I asked for the check.
Yeah.
I asked for,
Paid money to watch this, man.
Yeah.
Sandy was there.
Dennis on the
Wasn't it pretty bad? She won't even say nothing.
Well, compared to, no, I think that the point, he was a very strong advocate for the students, for the program, and just, it's amazing what Nicole's done with that space, but
It's a
tight.
small
It's
space.
tight, and I think that was, and they would like to add more with motor control and the, you know, pneumatics and things, and hydraulics, so I think that was his space, so.
There's no doubt.
Don't take it personally.
We're all in agreement that electrical space-wise, got a shorter end of the stick than a lot of our.
That's where when Corey was here, we got the pole barn for them to do this kind of stuff, and all the people in the class said the pole barn was good because these kids are gonna be working on electrical stuff, and they ain't gonna be working in a heated garage, okay? You're wiring stuff in the houses and then out in the industry. I worked out in the industry, and you're working out in the snow and rain and wet, and you're trying to put a controller in, and it's not always so fun, so.
Matt, how many students did we turn down this year because we didn't have space for them?
Well, our wait list numbers are over 200, yeah, you know. And so I understand about getting some things corrected, and we're gonna continue to work on that. And that's what we're talking about with that you know, partnership with Erie County Community College, doing that long-term lease over there so they can go after some grant money out there for community colleges to help us address that building. We only gave them half the building, and we're reserving the other half the building, you know, for, you know, expansion of programs down the road. And I think that's the right move for us. Our team thinks that's the right move for us in the long run. But I have multiple programs vying for that. Can we move over there and get more space?
Well, that's what I just, from a personal thing, I just want the board to know, when you go to these meetings, sometimes you don't get a.
Lisa and I were in another meeting, and they were drilling us as well. Everybody wants, and they all want yesterday. And you know, to the defense of like new teachers coming from industry, they know what they know from industry, and they're coming in here and they're thinking, you know, they just came out of the top of the line of industry, maybe welding or whatever. They had the greatest tools. They come here and realize, wait a minute, we're a school, we're free and appropriate public education. We'd love to give you a Cadillac, but you're driving the Pinto, guys, in a lot of ways. Now, we're not now with the investment you guys have made. This place is beautiful, but some of the equipment still has to get cycled and updated through our purchasing processes. And we're directed a lot by grants, like I said, grant this, grant, that grant's due. And so you give us, the new teachers, I say, get a plan. The previous teacher had a separate plan. You now want a different plan. And each one of you bring a little bit different perspective from your industry experience to us, where one's focusing maybe a little bit more on this because that was his experience, where the other one's focusing a little bit more on that because that was his experience. And so he wants this set of tools versus that set of tools.
Yeah,
So we're working through that. I will say our electrical teacher, Nicole Zonheiser, was a 20-year journeyman, and we are lucky to have her, and she's doing a great job. She designed that space all new and created something that when I walked in with the architect and the electrical contractor to ask questions about, okay, we're popping these ceilings out and we need to do this, and are we good with fire code and whatever, they both said, oh my gosh, this is awesome. What she is doing is awesome. This is, Scott Murdoch from Church of Murdoch this is exactly what we need to train these kids. This is great. She has pretty much turned everything that you need into a 4-foot cubicle, basically, not even 4 foot, 3-foot cubicle, to where and it's safe and it's smart and it's, and we're building it, but it's not done yet because we're still building it, but it'll get there.
And when it comes right down to it, the amount of space that you have is not as important as what you're learning.
Yep.
I mean, so long as they're learning what they need to learn, whether they're doing it in a 4-foot by 4-foot space or they're doing it in a 10-foot by 10-foot space, it's the same thing. In the end, they're gonna know what they're doing and they're gonna have that education to be able to take it out there. So
Change is hard.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that all of our staff, all of our people are going through with this renovation, is it was a lot of change. And so, what they had before and what they have now, sometimes is better, but sometimes they wish some of the stuff they had before they still had. Especially when you get longtime OAC members on there, and that's what we face down in facility maintenance.
Yeah.
Where, we fought to get this and that, now it's gone, what happened to it? Well, it went to the auction. It was no longer, current and needed in the opinion of the teacher last year, and so we didn't keep that piece of equipment.
That's kind of the same thing. Last year we had men in the industry said a PLC is not the best thing to learn on. Learn all the basics, 3-phase, hook all that stuff, and don't worry about PLCs because that is not usually the electrical part. You wire PLCs up to somebody else with a specialty programmer comes and do it. They don't. You would go to secondary school to be a PLC programmer. You would just learn how to wire it up. Don't worry about how it runs. You know where to hook the things that the programming should be done.
One of the things I am concerned about with the programs that you're talking about is I do like seeing veterinary sciences on there. I just want to make sure that whatever we bring in has a diversification option. So, and it's not geared towards a specific person, specific
Trade?
gender.
Oh, gotcha.
I'll keep bringing that up as long as you keep talking about
I
stuff.
thought those were both female dominated.
Yeah.
Well, we doubled cosmetology, and we doubled health assistants last year, so that was one of the big discussions with the superintendents as well, was that, that balance and so forth, or, getting closer to a balance. And so I kind of felt like we really addressed that with those 2 programs last year. That's why we're saying, we're towards heavy equipment this year. I mean, I look at industry, I look at what's out there, several of you work in construction. I don't think you're gonna lose by having that kind of a program. I think it's gonna be a win-win for the community, for the kids, for the families. Those guys are walking into jobs.
Well, no,
If they
I'm
have
not
the
saying,
skills.
listen, if you want to do heavy equipment, I just would say, because listen, I love running when I'm on the Wildcat or on the excavator, that's fine. But you gotta let the girls in the schools know how much fun they can have too. It's not, this is not just a boy's
That was the
job.
point of diggers and numbers.
Yeah.
My daughter was driving that stuff, loved it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a ball.
I think we're really diversified. Like Nicole's email and electrical thing, and I think that's a really outstanding.
Yeah.
A lot of times, women operators are less of a hot dog, and Mark would carry a bit.
There were quite a few female operators.
Yes, see? think a lot of that
Must
is.
not know women drivers very much, they're more hot dogs than.
That's what I'm saying, that's really what I'm getting at, the marketing for it is gonna need to be, open to everybody,
She is.
I don't want it just to be
And runs
focused
their own
on
jobs.
She
the
is.
traditional.
Trust me, I had the conversation when we had the opening. Rick was our superintendent of records. White electrician. She want to come here and
I think
teach.
she's a project manager, if I
Yeah.
remember right.
Yes.
Yeah. The good news is the investment is here. We're to the other side of that renovation. We have space to expand. And I had that conversation with the superintendents. I said, we could keep status quo, but I thought that was one of my charges, to get space that you guys invested and built, filled, so we have more students benefiting from the opportunities that are at the school.
Because right now we're just wasting it.
Yeah, so I think, basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna share this with the superintendents. I believe we'll have a recommendation for you at the December meeting. I'm hoping to get there to where we're moving forward to saying, we're going to add a new program in the fall of 2025, and here's what we're gonna do. We really need to get it timely wise. I know Sandy's over there looking like, you're already late, Matt, you're already late.
What are ninth graders coming?
They're coming in the next
November.
month, and then their
November 11th
applications
is
are due.
Thursday.
So
Veterans Day.
our meeting is next Friday with the superintendents, and if they give me the green light, then we're gonna push it out there as this is going to be, this is a tentative option that we're gonna put on the list so everybody can kind of keep it there, and then we'll go to you guys for approval. And I was probably gonna put it out like I did before. If they're all in alignment, this is what it is. I'm gonna put it out to you guys because we don't meet again till later in December. This is what I want to do. Does anybody have a problem, and we kind of get that little straw poll vote on email, knowing that we're going to bring it up and officially approve it in December.
Well, being on the heels of diggers and dumpsters, I think that's, I'm not saying I'm poo-pooing on the option, the choice. What I'm saying is I just want to see it be marketed well.
Okay. So it's also, we're not doing operation, we're doing operation and repair. And we're gonna go under the repair SIP to open the program. And that way we don't have the lift of getting brand new equipment. We're gonna go with whatever equipment that a lot of people donate, with an investment of buying a piece of an equipment every single year type idea, that's used, kind of used and old, and then they can repair it and operate it and get it running that way. So if we go that route, that's the rough exercise.
There's only one place,
Earlier, you mentioned that you were gonna try to get some data from the industry itself to where you felt that need was for a new course. Do you have any data on that?
Oh, we do. We have the high priority occupation list and the idle list. These are all listed on there. Construction is a high priority occupation in pretty much every sector of Pennsylvania. I know it was north central, northwestern, and southwestern. I didn't go look at the eastern side of the state, but yeah.
But as an example, your number 2 choice or 3, veterinary sciences, is that a big industry?
It is not, and I think I shared that with you guys in the past. That's the mark behind that one, is it's not. However, my philosophy on that is we're not putting veterinary sciences in here for the vet tech side of things. We're putting it in here because agriculture is a big industry in Erie County, and number 1 in Pennsylvania, and we're putting it in there for the animal care, right? The farms with goats and cows and pigs and horses and, dogs and cats and everything else that goes along with, really the 4-H side of things of animal raising. A lot of our kids participate and have those animals in their homes, with their farms and their local scenario. So we're putting, in my mind, we're going that route. Student interest is there, but it's really that is under the agricultural SIP codes. We don't have an agricultural program. We got 147 acres, no ag program. So to me, that would be dipping into that cluster of agriculture. That'd be why we dip that way. It's number 1 in Pennsylvania, we don't have a program.
And then you might also get some kids in here that actually want to be vets. And
Correct.
We'll take that and move forward with it.
Yes. Yeah, the option to go post-secondary and skill up to the full vet, yeah.
One class that I thought would be a little higher was the small engine repair and recreational vehicle repair and stuff like that. Just as an RVer myself, you go to any of the 3 local dealers around here, and you wanna have repairs done on your camper, you're out 6-7 weeks, because they don't have enough mechanics to work on your vehicles.
So when
Same
Joe
way
was
with
here,
side
Joe
by
was
side.
working with our teacher. Joe was here, Joe was working with our facility maintenance teacher to get that certification as an add-on that he could teach the kids in our facility maintenance. And then that has kind of fallen to the wayside a little bit with the change of teachers. But it's still out there, we still have that connection. And Joe had authorized that teacher to take the summer and do the course to be the RV technician and then bring that back to add that to our facility maintenance program. And, do that course as a paid, kind of scenario over the summer. So for the last 2 years with Scott Webb, our former teacher, I've said, hey, when are we doing this? When are we doing this? And he's like, yeah, I got it. He just never completed it. Never turned in any hours to be compensated and never completed it. So we'll revisit that with our new teacher, Daniel Dawson, and I'm guessing he'll probably knock that out next summer doing,
Yeah, same way with 4-wheelers and side by side.
Listen,
You're on a waiting list to get in.
I literally had a friend of mine who's an airplane mechanic come up from Pittsburgh to fix my lawnmower because it was gonna be down for 8 weeks if I'd sent it to Lakefront Mower, because they don't have anybody to work on it. So, thank God I had a good friend.
There's a dozen programs like that in the Erie region, because Erie is big. And, who knows what it looks like in 10 years. Hopefully the money keeps flowing in terms of the grants that are coming out for innovation, like the PA Smart grants and CTE and so forth, and we can maybe put up some more buildings that are like those Morton buildings and add programs.
I want drones to mow my grass.
They have robo mowers now.
That's right, that's what I want.
You can go buy one of those.
Okay.
Amazon.
Okay.
Matt, like most of us, when we were in high school, there was an ag program. So after day was spent, you could do ag shop and, it was animal nutrition, animal science, welding, the basics, any kind of farm stuff. Most of them had the FFA programs. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's only 2 programs like that still operating in Union City and Northwestern.
Yep.
Right? Is that why you can't take and focus, you couldn't have an ag program?
Well, that's why we couldn't have that kind of ag program, is because of the Articles Agreement with the non-compete.
There's a lot of SIP codes though.
We
just added a whole nother one, this past year.
I know both your teachers.
Right, but that's why there's so much, that's pretty big, and we like,
currently,
like General McLean, take our teachers, but at least they send us a few kids.
Hey, tuition.
I was gonna say, one of them's running your program now.
Well, yeah,
So I think
that
you're-
was just to get even.
I think you're welcome. Is what
That was just to get even.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, it's good problems to have, but eventually we gotta make decisions if we're gonna move forward in that program. I would love to add 20 programs, and I've already talked to you about market share and where we're at compared to Venango and Warren and Crawford counties and so forth like that, where they're getting over 25% of your 10, 11, 12th graders into career and tech ed, and we're at 16 now. But hey,
I'm all for
we were at 11 3 years ago, so we're going the right direction.
as long as we pick the right classes.
Yeah, and right is relative, because you gotta be able to find an instructor, and then you gotta fill it with students. And the lift of heavy equipment is probably an extra $100,000 lift on supplies and that kind of stuff to get it going, get it started. That's what I rolled out with the superintendents, is that's versus your normal lift, because of trying to get $30,000, $50,000 used equipment type scenarios to teach the kids on.
I think you put some of that out there, especially with the diggers and dumpers event that you had. You're gonna have a lot of buy-in from industry, from some companies.
I've heard that, yeah.
That will help that. I had a conversation with some of the concrete people that are here that I don't think they even knew I was tied in at all with the tech school. And they loved the event. And I mean, the one story was there's a certain screen or something that these concrete places have, the crushing of the old concrete now. And
Yeah.
we have, he said there's nobody to fix it. There's like one guy in 2 or 3 counties that can fix everybody's machine. And it just, we have got to get some people. So anything his point was anything that we can do to help encourage that, we're gonna do.
And that's what we heard from the 15, people that I had up there to thank. All of them, they all were like, this is, our industry is not going away. Our industry has great opportunity. It's above average paying jobs, right? Like, it's not the same level of starting pay. When you have those type of skills, I mean, they're $40, $50, $60 an hour. And I look at Mark, because that's what he does, right?
There wasn't a guy out there that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And they were volunteering their time.
Oh, they loved it.
They loved it.
Don't believe it, because we all spoke the same thing, so.
Yeah.
Those guys they're already talking about this.
And that needs to be part of your marketing program too, because everybody thinks, oh, I don't wanna be a blue collar worker. Blue collar workers are making bank.
Oh, God.
You need to make sure that
I
these
think
kids
we're
know
getting
that.
up, we're over that hill at this point. I think we're over that hill.
I don't know that you are, I mean, listen, most schools are still pushing the college path.
Correct. Our biggest hurdle is guidance counselors and teachers. To be honest with you, that's our biggest
No,
hurdle.
I agree with you.
Which is why one of the conversations at one of our admin meetings like a week ago was, hey, when are we bringing back that educators here, the educators in the workforce events here for them to see what we do. So yeah,
Well, these kids their entire lives are sitting there talking to teachers who are white collar workers.
Yeah.
And so they don't.
What did you say, Lisa?
said after we had our co-op coordinator.
First, you gotta get a co-op coordinator.
There you
And
go.
a networking teacher.
We got 50 kids out there without a co-op coordinator.
Listen.
We'll get there. We've got some interviews Monday. We'll get there. Yeah, so good problems to have. We'll take it back. We'll work with the superintendents. We'll have a proposal for you in December. At least, kind of what we want to do next in terms of the fall of 2025 and the fall of 2026.
At that point, that might be your biggest problem is you've got these guys making $100,000 plus a year. You're gonna get them to come be a teacher for what, 40,000?
There's plenty of them.
Yeah. There were several guys that were in their 50s that said, I would love to go teach this now and step back maybe from the long hours, travel and everything else that's involved there. So we'll see. We'll see.
That's right.
Right? So, all right, with that in place, that ends my report. And we are ready to go to the regular meetings. Anybody need a break? Let's roll right into the regular meeting.
We ready over there? All right, let's start with a moment of reflection. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. McManus.
Here.
Mr. Fortin.
Present.
Dr. Wise. Mr. Osliani.
Here.
Ms. Frank.
Here.
Mr. Koblenz.
Here.
Mr. Lindner.
Present.
Mr. Boyd.
Here.
Mr. Ring.
Here.
Mr. Gilbert.
Here.
Mr. Morbe.
Here. Very good, and we do not need to worry about executive session this month. And of course, we have no amendments because those are illegal, right? See? So the meeting minutes then.
I move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded, very good. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Student accomplishment highlights, we've got that done. Anything extra? Guest and public comment, anybody like to address the board? All that, scared them all away. Important items, got all those covered. Old business. New business, we have the Visa card, field trips. So,
So
C.
So
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. New financial items, business manager report.
As of September 30th, 2024, our general fund balance is $4,470,690.64. Our capital projects funds is $2,182,407.43. Our student activity is at $3,205.90, and our benefits account are at $16,026.11. We have received 24% of our revenue and expensed 18%. I also do have the, can you go to the renovation report? It should be 13, you have it. We paid out all of our contractors except D&G. We still have 1%, we still have to pay them 1%, but everybody else is paid out. And if you scroll down, Mike, all the way down to contingencies,
It's page 12.
Page 12.
we will have, after the projected expenses, like $122,000 left from our contingency money. And our furniture and equipment will have like $11,572.
After everything that's.
After everything that's expected to be spent.
At this point, though.
Unless Matt, yeah.
You haven't told Matt that he has $122,000 worth?
Oh, no. She knows. I'm still buying equipment and doing things for labs. We're trying to go to the grants now. I told them it's cut off, so. But not a piece of heavy equipment coming out of it
Right now.
Not yet.
Right now.
Trust me, they've already asked. I already had construction facility maintenance last year saying, hey, we need a skid steer, we can teach our kids on some, like, they're already asking for stuff. So, eventually, we'll see where we get there.
Grab a small, grab big. How big the package is.
That's true.
Are you serious?
Those little ones are awful.
Everyone wants the little ones, they're expensive.
Throw them out the lighter trailer and go.
One time, that costs a lot of money.
Moving.
Anything on the treasurer's report? Payables, open invoices. Approval card, so we've got G is approval of all financial items.
So moved, Gilbert.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Administrative Services and Human Resources. Anything beyond your written there? Got some work to do. And resignation, retirements, stipends is on here, but there's nothing under there, right? It's just a
Right.
placeholder. Okay. So F is all of those items under
So moved.
administrative services.
Second.
Moved and second, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Superintendent's report.
Thank you. Much of what I have, Matt has talked about in terms of what we did as superintendents to help push out that survey to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Wanted to make sure he and we had a decent sample size on that, and got 2,200 in return, which is giving us some pretty good data. As he noted, we'll meet on the 1st, and the bulk of that conversation will be the program expansion. And we've got a lot of the pieces of the pie, I think, to assemble. Matt's done some good work in terms of getting us the financial data. We'll have to talk explicitly financially about what did it look like before, what does it look like with X, what does it look like with Y, what does that look like with 1 versus 2 versus 1 year versus 2 years, all of those pieces in combination with student interest and then the high occupancy program. So to do all of that on the 1st with 11 of us in the same room to do that, That'll be a challenge, but I'm sure it'll be a great conversation. What is it, white smoke or black smoke at the end of a convo? We'll be coming out of the room. We'll know one way or the other what the next direction is for that, but at least we've got all the information we need to make a decision, that's for sure. So looking forward to it.
Very good, then we've done the leadership, right, you're not gonna give us another report, right? Solicitors report.
There is none.
Very good, that takes us to, I didn't miss anybody, did I?
Well, because they combined it.
That's right.
They
All
took
right.
a quick one on.
D, approval there.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded, any questions or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. So you get supplemental reports there, anything else? I didn't get all the way through these that we need to move on.
Oh, thank you, Matt, for sending that enrollment report.
Sorry about that,
No, thank you.
Yeah, it's good.
And we combined, if you notice there, we used to have two separate reports. We combined them into one report now for enrollment, so you have transition on there as well. Like, if you bring it up real quick, that's another format that I've been using with the superintendents. Well, that doesn't look like the right.
That's not the right one, hold on. I clicked on the wrong one.
I did get a comment that the enrollments increased in the machine shop quite a bit, so.
Yeah, secondary program enrollment.
Oh, yep, there you go, thank you, sorry.
Celebrate this year.
Is-
For all the courses, the culinary arts is doing better.
Yep.
Machine
All
shop.
the rest of the
Precision
programs are
machine.
running at the percentages they were significantly ahead of where they've been
Yep.
prior. So I think that's an accomplishment.
I've thought about that, just, it's amazing when you think about that over even the last 4 or 5 years, but some of us can go back further than that, we're talking 10 or 15 years. It just, I think the building is one thing, I don't think it's everything, but I never dreamed that we would ever get here. We had those miserable meetings with
Act 126.
Act 126 or 1.
I'm gonna be breathing, I'm not even gonna spend time on Act 126 this year. I hope it's okay. I mean, to me, we're full, we're moving, we're not changing any programs. I mean, that's the good news, because I mean, I do know, like, tourism hospitality at one point was operating like with 25 students, right? And it was like, do we cut it, do we not? The good news is we have good teachers in place. They're doing a nice job with their recruiting. Right now, we have record numbers from all your schools applying. I mean, it's a good time to be in career tech ed. But at the state level, they're changing their tune to it as well. So society is changing their tune to it, the state level changing to it. They're pushing money out. We're gonna participate in a study, more and more studies about, statewide, there's like 10,000 students turned away from career tech ed, but yet everyone's talking about skilled labor, we need skilled labor, we're shortage of this, we're shortage of that. And so they're studying it statewide, and I really see the money will continue to flow our direction in somewhat. Not the level we want it to flow, but.
I seem to think also that there's, that everyone's starting to realize that college education may not be very good value for a lot of people. And so therefore that push and what the return is, and therefore the return on a tech education can be much more valuable. So that perception is starting to turn, I think. College is so expensive that may be, I think that's a real deal too.
I've noticed in the last couple of years, since I've been on the board, and I agree with what Sam said, I don't think it's all the new building. I think it's the marketing strategy that the team has put together, the meetings with the guidance counselors and fellow principals and that stuff, and it's word of mouth.
The career readiness project pushed out by PD about 5 years ago. It's really pushed that conversation more as well. My message is do both. Like, I wish I would have done both, right? I still was gonna go to college, I knew I was gonna go to college, but I wish I would have done both. Do both, because you can always go right into industry, but then you can go right into industry and have them help pay for the skill of the classes and so forth. So that's the one-liner. Rick Emmerich's taking a pill class, and he had to come and shadow a couple of students and interview me. And I said, the thing I'm telling everyone is do both. That's what I'm telling my daughter. I was like, do both. You want to keep your avenues open. But I look at it like, it's like declaring your major right when you enter college. Right, when you declare your major right when you enter college as freshman, you're on a path, you're gonna get done in 4 years, you're more likely to do it. If you don't, then you go undecided a couple years, you're not gonna graduate on time. It's a very similar philosophy in high school. If you're gonna be one of those ones that owns your own business, with that, declare your major early. Go to the tech school early. It's like declaring your major. You're gonna be that farther along. Even when you go to college, like the kids that come to design and drafting for engineering, when they go to Penn State for engineering, they're like breezing through those freshman, sophomore classes. You know, like they're like, oh, we've already done this. Oh, we've already done this. Oh, we've already done this. You know, so it's good opportunities. So do both. That's my message.
Anything else for the good of the order? We'll remind you again, there's no November meeting. So happy Thanksgiving. In December, we'll have a reorganization meeting, so we can reorganize.
Don't think you're getting out of seat.
Takes us to 17A is adjournment.
So moved. Sam, can I join in first 1 second?
Sure, we haven't adjourned yet.
I know, I snuck in.
Good job.
Folks, at your table, you'll see a little baggie. If you don't mind doing us a favor before you leave, we had a little pumpkin decorating contest with all of the labs. And on those tables, you'll see the morning classes on the left, the afternoon classes on the left. They decorated them. You can put your 5 tokens anywhere. You can put them all in 1 cup, 1 in 5, it doesn't matter to us, but that's gonna be our voting so that we have winners tomorrow morning. So if you don't mind taking a couple minutes to do that, we'd appreciate it.
And this is what we did with our partitions from COVID.
Awesome.
So if you guys have old partitions that you don't want in your district, send them our way, we'll find some use for them.
We're really sad to get rid of them.
What's that?
Are you?
Hey, we're sanitized, yes.
Very good, well, thank you. And then I think I have a good source that tells me they're gonna shoot those at Mr. Laverty out in the back 40.
No, we're really sad.
Yeah?
Just hope you're far enough distance, some of the small ones.
They're giving me a hard hat and a baseball bat.
Good
I'm
enough.
gonna try to hit that.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We've already done that, we're ready to adjourn. All those in favor, signify.
Aye.
Let's go home, after you go. Happy Thanksgiving.